welcome
to the lock
Geno's
around
picks.
the clock. Okay, why not welcome to 2 Geno's picks?
See, now that works, people. Finally, we've done it. 2 Genos, 1 place, 4 picks. I know you can't wait, but let me welcome my good friend Geno Tallarico. I know you're used to getting picks from a handicapped idiot. Now you're getting picks from a genuine handicapper. Before I bring him in, let me point out, I was 3-1 again last week, but I went 5-1-2 on the season prediction over-unders, 37-37 on the year. But can that compare with you, Geno? Talk to me about your season.
That's not bad for a comedian because I laughed every week when I saw those picks. No, but I've been over 70% for the year. Unfortunately, I was about 72% until the last week of the season. Yes, I screwed the pooch last week, but it was due to happen at one point or another. And why not on the last week of the season? Everybody was happy. We still hit well over the 68, 69% mark for the season.
How the people at Lou Dogs think that went for you, buddy?
They love it over at Lou Dogs. By the way, go to LouDogs.com. Check them out. Find out what the free rolls are all about. Find out why they're the hottest handicapping site on the web. Find out about their free bets. You can't even do that with your friends. Check them out at LouDogs.com.
You have no friends, Geno. Let's get right to the picks. You ready?
You got it.
I'll go first. People, Saturday, first game, Texans giving 4.5 to the Bengals in Cincinnati. Good news, people. The last time the Bengals won a playoff game, they beat Houston. Bad news. Last time the Bengals won a playoff game, they beat the Houston Oilers because it was 1991. Think about that, Geno. The last time the Bengals won a playoff game, the smarter George Bush was president. And while George Bush Sr. could very well come to an end in the next week, the Bengals' playoff drought will not. I say the Texans' defense is too good and their offense is too balanced to fall to the Bengals because it's official. After last Sunday night, that awful Redskins-Cowboys game, Gary Kubiak is by far the better of the 2 head coaches in the state of Texas. And while Marvin Lewis may be the better head coach of the 2 teams in the state of Ohio, that again is like saying the smarter of the 2 Bushes, because either way, you're comparing things on a scale of relative idiocy. I like the Texans in this one, Geno. I'm willing to lay the 4.5.
See now, Geno, I got to disagree with you there. The Texans, to me, their offense has been about as interesting as a Ryan Seacrest New Year's Eve interview. It's just been too much to Andre Johnson. And if they do not get the rushing attack going with Arian Foster, which we've seen is able to, it's stalled. And Matt Schaub, this is his first playoff game in 9 years. I really like Andy Dalton going in his second year in the playoffs, even though it's against the same team with some familiarity. A better running game this year, I believe, with Ben Jarvis, and he's got Hawkins and A.J. Green to throw to with Gresham, where, again, the Houston Texans, I think, are limited, and without Brian Cushing on that defense, J.J. Watt's got to carry the whole load.
So you're taking the Bengals, laying the 4 and the 4.5 you're getting?
Love it.
Okay.
Taking the Bengals.
Those are Geno's picks first time.
We got the second game of the Saturday night evening games where we have the Minnesota Vikings visiting Green Bay. In this game, I know it's the Green Bay Packers, and I know it's Aaron Rodgers, but I couldn't help but notice the similarity between the 2 games this year that they've played. The kicking team, or the team that's kicked 3 field goals or more, has won, believe it or not, both games. I know it's a weird stat, but here's another one for you I just found out 2 nights ago. If you take a look at the amount of times Aaron Rodgers is actually sacked in a game, when he is sacked 3 times or less, he is 85% winning percentage. When he gets sacked 4 or more times, or 3 or more times, in which the last game he was sacked 5 times, which is 1 less arrest for Lindsey Lohan in a 6-year period, he was a loser, and the Vikings, with that defense, I think is much better than the defense of the Green Bay Packers, which is, yes, getting Charles Woodson back after his second cracked collarbone, but they also have one thing on the Minnesota side, as well as defense, that Green Bay doesn't, and that's a 100-yard rusher in Adrian Peterson. Just remember, the Green Bay Packers have yet this entire season to have a 100-yard rusher. I'm going with the Vikings.
Geno, I got to agree with you. The Vikings are getting 7.5. And are you ready for this stat, Geno? Everyone is talking about how Adrian Peterson ran all over the pack last week, 6 days ago. But get this, Green Bay actually figured out Adrian Peterson because he only gained 199 yards on 34 carries, unlike week 13 when he ran for 210 on 21s. All Day fell from a lofty 10 yards a carry in Week 13 to a paltry 5.8. And every time he touched the ball 6 days ago, he looked better and better. The last time I saw that many numbers popping up in one place that signaled someone was getting pounded, it was on your old lady's cell phone, Geno. Hate to tell you that. I guess numbers like 199 and 210 go unnoticed, though, by Mike McCarthy, because he's happy to see them if he looks at his cholesterol report. Well, unlike his arteries, nothing's clogging up Adrian Peterson and the holes he's hitting. Do I think the Vikes win this one? I don't. But do they get blown out? Not on Adrian's watch. Take the Vikings and All Day and the 7.5.
I'm with you on that.
Booyah. Next pick, Geno. Colts getting 7 against the Ravens in Baltimore in what could very well be Ray Lewis's final game. Former defensive coordinator Chuck Pagano, who for 4 seasons helped him be the most dominant defensive force on the NFL field, travels into Baltimore with a knowledge of the Ravens defense that I believe will not only help him and Bruce Arians plan a brilliant offensive attack against the Ravens, but will more importantly help keep Andrew Luck and his 18 INTs from turning the ball over and giving the Ravens the extra opportunities that I am sure an inconsistent offense like Baltimore needs to cover a 7-point line. Now, sure, the emotional win last week, Geno and Indy, may have taken a lot out of an ordinary head coach, but Chuck Pagano and his Colts are far from ordinary. And while Ray Lewis will look to do something leukemia could not and take out Chuck Pagano, I see a Colts offense that has returned to its 2010 form, faring much better than the aforementioned offense. As Joe Namath would say, the Ravens are struggling on offense. And this matchup will not be linked with leukemia as much as erectile dysfunction, because this game is going to feature a lot of ineffective purple helmets. By the way, I know it's ridiculous to compare Ray Lewis to leukemia, because after leukemia kills you, it doesn't try to drive off in a limo. I'm terrible. I like that joke. I'm taking the Colts and the 7.5 they're getting. Geno, get me out of here.
You know, it's funny you said that. This probably is Ray Lewis's last game. And although he'll be an emotional leader in the locker room, those torn triceps will generally keep any player out the entire rest of the season, including the playoffs. Ray Lewis, I think, is coming in more as an emotional leader, as we're going to see with Chuck Strong. Chuck is going to come into this game with his Indianapolis Colts, who have been riding a high. They've been beating some teams down the stretch and showing that Andrew Luck can get these passes off to T.Y. Hilton, as well as Reggie Wayne, Y.A. Tittle. Yes, he's there too, I'm sure, at some form. But I love Andrew Luck going into this game. We've seen what Joe Flacco does. We've seen what Joe Flacco has been, and we know that Joe Flacco can collapse. This offense is going through some phases. They haven't used Ray Rice quite the same as he's been used in the past. If they can get him going, I think it helps. I do like the Indianapolis defense. They've been playing well, and I think the key to this game is Vic Ballard. I really like that running game if they can get it going, and I think if they do, Andrew Luck's going to have a great day, and I look for the Colts to cover, if not win this game outright on a failing Ravens team that really shows that they weren't the team that they started out to be this year.
The Genos agree again. Take the Colts in the 7.5.
Final game of wild card weekend this week for the playoffs. We have Seattle visiting Washington.
Is this the double your money Sunday night bet, Geno?
I tell you what, if I had to bet just one game this entire weekend, it would be the Seattle Seahawks. As everybody knows, I'm a closet Seattle fan, especially after the Raiders collapse every year. I got to look for something to dig my teeth into for the playoffs, and Seattle has been it. They've been an upset special. First round, especially this last couple of years. We saw what they did against the Saints a few years ago, and by the way, I did call that. You guys have it on video. But I really like their defense. It's very ferocious, very attacking. It's a team that defensively, the backs here, the defensive backfield with Brandon Browner, Cam Chancellor. I mean, these guys are hard-hitting guys that are really physical, and I think they're going to take out the wide receiving core that RG3 has to work with. Plus, RG3 is a little gimpy on that knee. This is his second problem with that knee since his sophomore year in college. And I think the defense here for Seattle is cohesive with the running attack. The running attacks on both of these teams with Alfred Morris and Marshawn Lynch.
You love Marshawn.
I love Marshawn Lynch. If I had a son, I would name him Marshawn. But let me tell you that.
And if you had a son, he'd be black.
He probably would be. I can't tell you he wouldn't. I mean, who knows? There might be one running around. And his name, could be Geno, too. Who knows? But I do really like the Marshawn Lynch factor in this game. And Russell Wilson, let's not forget, his quarterback rating for the season was at 100% exactly. The only one really ahead of him was RG3, and these are both first-year quarterbacks. Not to mention, their passing attack is a little more diversified against a team that doesn't have a great defense. In Washington, London Fletcher, let's put it this way, he's very old, he's been around forever. D'Angelo Hall, let's say he's the most illegitimate quarterback out there. He's more illegitimate than the baby between Kanye West and Kim Kardashian at this point. Is it Kanye? She's still married to Chris Humphries, technically, for God's sakes.
And you're gay for knowing that. So you say take Seattle.
I'm going Seattle. I am taking my Skittles and going all the way to the bank with that one. Seattle is my pick.
Bad news, fans of Geno and Geno. I agree with them again. I can't believe how closely these teams match up. From the two amazing rookie QBs, RG3 with his 3,200 passing yards and 20 TDs against Russell Wilson with his 3,118 passing yards and 20 TDs, to the rookie running back, Alfred Davis, who averages 4.8 yards a carry and has 13 TDs.
Alfred Morris even.
Yeah, what did I say?
Alfred Davis.
Whatever.
He hasn't been there in a while.
Did I say Smith? There's more black Smiths in the NFL than Colonial Williamsburg. The point is, Lynch has 5 yards to carry, 11 TDs. The problem is people have focused so much on these incredible stories that they haven't looked at what you just said, Geno. Defense, where there's no debate. The Seahawks have been phenomenal all year, ranking 4th overall, while the Redskins' defense ranks very low, like you said, 28th, fitting they're named after Native Americans since they're giving up ground so easily. By the way, RG3, as you said, hasn't been the same since he hurt himself in Week 15 with that knee. So look for Seattle to target that leg, as once again, a Redskins massacre will center around Wounded Knee. People, take Seattle, lay the 3 like that, Geno says.
Is it safe to say that these natives are going to get lynched?
You love Marshawn Lynch. Those are Geno's picks. See you next week.
Take it easy.
Boy, there's no way the Vikings cover.
Yeah. Boy, are they screwed. Right now, Minnesota just went up to 90 degrees. The snow is melting.
Both Genos are sure of it.